Not one. Page 271. Page 271. Y'all sing out this morning. There's not a friend like the lonely Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. None else could be our soul's no, not one. No, not one. Jesus knows all about our struggles. He will guide till the day is done. There's not a friend like the lowly Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. There's not an hour that He is not near us. No, not one. No, not one. No nights are dark, but His love can cheer us. No, not one. No, not one. Jesus knows all about our struggles. He will guide till the day is done. There's not a friend like the lonely Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. Was there a friend like the Savior given? No, not one. No, not one. Will He refuse us a home in heaven? No, not one. No, not one. Sing out. Jesus knows all about our struggles. He will guide till the day is done. There's not a friend like the lowly Jesus. No, not one. No, not one. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right. Ruth, you done? Just don't wander around. Oh, yeah, it does. Good to see you all this morning. And be seen. It is good to be seen, is it not? Amen. You'll pocket this morning, what? And not viewed. And not viewed. Yes, seen and not viewed. Amen. I feel like I need to tell that. We'll let it go. Dr. Al Reichman is here this morning. He is one of three Jewish evangelist missionaries that we have that we support, and so he's able to come in every year or so, and he keeps a tight schedule, that's for sure. And I'm so grateful that we're able to be a part of his ministry. We've got one guy that deals just in the Fort Worth area with the Jews. Brother Al seems to go statewide as he can, and with his mailings and things. And then we have one that's up in upper state New York, and they deal in New York City, and then go up to what's that place called during the summer, where all the Jews start gathering up there so they can have their schools and stuff like that. He goes up there and deals with them. And but he's based in New York City, and Brian is his name. He's our latest one. We're just thankful for us being able to minister to the Jews. The Bible says to the Jew first, also to the Gentiles, right? So we try to keep that in mind. Brother Al's going to come, and this morning at Sunday school, it's going to be a question and answer, like it tends to be. So think about questions that are, and they don't have to be Jewish related. They could be Bible related, things like that. That I'm sure he will give us an insight as to what he's been doing, and go from there. Church will be preaching, and then at 2 o'clock, I think he's going to have a PowerPoint for us to view concerning all the feasts of Israel and Christ's fulfillment in them. So that's something that I'm going to be able to learn a little bit out there. So I'm excited. All right, doctor. And when I say doctor, I mean doctor, because that's what he is, right?
Done now?
Yes,
Do I need to start over?
Scott, will the green light come on?
Okay. Well, it's funny how I never have to start over. Anyhow, just kind of hear what we want. But, so, anyway, it's good to be with you this morning. And, I hope I just service will be blessed too. We have now finished, with, as far as our track outreach with Texas. We've sent, every Jewish family in the Metroplex, every Jewish family in the Houston metropolitan area, every Jewish family in the Austin area, and to every Jewish family in San Antonio, and surrounding area. And that very well covers it. I'm sure there, some of these, little towns spread out in West Texas and elsewhere may have a couple of Jewish people, but it's too hard to find. There's only a few. So we're pretty well done with Texas. We're now, and that was about 202,000 tracts that we sent to that many Jewish families. And when we're talking about families, then there's at least 4 people in those families. And that's just figuring 2 kids to a household, which is pretty unusual in a Jewish family. It's usually more like 5, 6, 8. But we're looking conservatively on this. In other words, we're pushing 1 million Jewish people here in Texas. And nobody knows it here. And, you don't know that here, not forming any outreach. They're going to be collected with the gospel concern. So that makes that trip move pretty far. We're now focusing on Phoenix, which has a large, I think it's the 13th largest Jewish population in the country. And when we're done with Phoenix, we'll tackle Florida, easily the 2nd largest Jewish population, right after New York City. And it may top New York City after this week's elections. They may be bailing out of there, and in Florida earlier than they planned on. It's a law that at a certain age, if you're Jewish, you have to move. It's not that you want to. The leisure police show up, with all dark, with shorts down to the knees and socks up to the knees. Like, Dell, you're coming with us. You have to go. So they're just going to make the move a couple of decades sooner, I guess. But anyhow, they may top New York City before long because of this. But anyway, that should take us to the rapture, and then I'm out. We'll let Elijah and Enoch handle it from there, and we'll go on. Anyway, I know some of you have helped us in the past. I didn't bring my stuff from my table, but if you want to help again with envelopes, Pastor can get you in touch with Michelle. All we need is your name, your phone number, your email address, and how many you want to do. And Michelle will send you whatever you need. I don't know what she sends. I don't know how this works after that. And ignorance really is bliss. So we'll just let her handle it. If you've already done it before, then you know how to contact her. You should have her in your email. So she'll help you out. But it's an interesting project because the response in churches that do these envelopes has been overwhelming. The thing that I never saw coming was so many times we get the volunteers that are doing envelopes that tell us that they keep their list of names.
the envelopes that they addressed. And every week they pray for those Jewish people by name. And I never even saw that one coming. Never considered that. So this outreach goes deeper than you think. And I just always think it just can't be a bad thing that we have believers all over the country praying for specific Jewish families here in Texas every week. It just can't be a bad thing. When we get to heaven, we'll find out what the true impact of this really was. It will be amazing. So, anyway, that's where we're at this point. And as I said, I'm still walking all over the country back and forth. But I have one more flight, and then this year, and that's next weekend. So I need your prayers. I've been watching it, and yesterday I got an American Airlines app on my phone, obviously, and it's putting out a little warning that because of the shutdown, that they're now trimming back on flights because of air traffic controllers are worn out, and they can't hire new ones during the shutdown, and a lot of them are quitting because before you feel anything toward them, how long would you work 12, 14-hour days with no pay? Kind of have to be a preacher to put up with that. So, yeah, that's what
Church treats me well. I'm good.
Yeah, but expecting the purchase. But anyway, so we can understand where they're at. So I do need you to pray that the flight will get out next Saturday, but then get back in the following Monday, a week from tomorrow. Because it's one thing to get there, it's another thing to be stuck there. And I'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina, and there's not much there. So it's it's capital, it's a pretty good sized town, but there's nothing there. No reason to be there for me.
You got a lot of burger, you see.
Yeah. But the problem there too is North Carolina barbecue is not Texas barbecue. So that's another problem. Anyway, so pray that will happen, and then the rest of the year I'm just local. So I'm just flying, so that won't be a problem. So anyway, appreciate your prayers that way. I am still leading tours to Israel, and next year looks like we're going to be able to go. Good. The war's down to nothing, and they. About 6 weeks or so ago, I talked to my guy at the tour company I used in Jerusalem, and he said right then they had 20 tours. And I said, are they having to adjust their itinerary? He said, no, everywhere you go in Israel right now it's safe. And that's from somebody who lives in Jerusalem. He just got off of reserve duty, so he would know. So anyway, with that in mind, and then after that, the ceasefire agreement was signed. So he also told me that airlines are now flying back in and out of Tel Aviv because they all stopped. And the only flights coming in and out were El Al, the national airline. But now Delta and United, they're all coming back. So that's a great sign too. So I'd say all that to say this. It's a great time to go to Israel after something like this. Security is never better. And that's true. They really watch over the tourists. So the dates are April 27th to May 7th. Talk to me, and I'll give you more detail on it. I'd love to take you with me. I promise it would be like you.
What's the cost?
Pardon me?
What's the cost
I am doing it a little differently than I've done in the past. We totally got rid of the travel agent. I thought I had done that and was working directly with the El Al airline and with the tour company in Jerusalem. And then during COVID, El Al didn't want to work with individuals anymore for groups. You had to go through a travel agent. So he understood what I was trying to do and cutting costs, so he hooked me up with an agent that was only supposed to broker the tickets and charge about $25 to $30 per ticket. Now they're charging over $500 above what El Al charges. And then they wanted a non-refundable $500 deposit on top of that. So I said, well, this violates our agreement. I'm not doing it. So I'm going to have people go to LL.com and I'll walk them through it personally on that. And I'll give them the date, the airport, the flight time, the flight number, going and coming. So we'll all be on the same plane, but they'll buy their own plane tickets. And I will say to them, at least $500. Plus they only pay that $500 deposit to the travel agent. So what you'll pay, that's going to be around $1,200 for the plane ticket, roughly. But that always changes, so it's always subject to change. The cost for the ground portion, which you would pay to us, is $3,435 per person. And so it's around $4,600 range, depending on what the plane ticket costs. There's $500 deposit you pay me, which reduces this obviously down to $2,935 balance, if you will. It covers the deluxe hotels. It covers morning and evening meal, bus driver, guide, entrance to all the sites, all your tips. For the driver and guide and for all the hotel people. The tips involved there. So the only thing you have to pay for is lunch, snacks, drinks, and your shot shoes. Your souvenirs. Shot shoes literally is dust collector. Souvenirs. So anyway, yeah, that's a pretty good price at that. So, get a hold of me and we'll get you set up. So what we want to do now is question and answer, focus on Israel, Middle East situation, prophecy, witnessing to Jewish people. You know, those questions you just haven't found that answer that satisfies you. You know, you've heard me say, ask a dozen people the same question and they're all giving you the same answer and they weren't all schooled by the same guy, then they all be wrong. We'll get yelled out, yes, that's, you know, skeptics everywhere. So, like my Tante Gill would say, two people say you're sick, lie down. At some point, it's not, you just have to accept the answer for whatever the answer is. I always set the table like this, about more than 20 years ago. Ariel Sharon, then Prime Minister of Israel, sitting down peace talks with Yasser Arafat. Before they began, Sharon stood up and said, before we start, I have a statement to make. He said, 3,000 years ago, people came into the land, they settled the land, built their homes, their businesses, put their lives together. Things were going along just fine. Suddenly, they discovered things were missing from their homes, from their businesses. They investigated this, they searched it out. They discovered the Palestinians were stealing their belongings. Arafat jumped up and said, wait. There were no Palestinians here 3,000 years ago. Sharon said, fine. Now we can begin. So you just need the right perspective, okay? So, who needs first break forward for yes, ma'am?
I have two questions.
Okay.
First one is, do you have a list of Jewish people that you know where to send for the Jewish people?
On the track outreach, you can Google, and I think Michelle does it by zip code, Jewish surnames,
Okay. Oh,
and they'll come up alphabetically.
cool, okay.
And so with that, then she's able to research and get the, see, I don't know exactly how it's done, but I know that, that starts the.
Okay, another question I have. Well, Bob Martin on TV about this sending your money to Israel through the United Christian Fund. Is that, do you know about that?
You mean the one where they showed this poor wretched soul?
Holocaust survivor.
And the Holocaust survivor thing?
Well, the one that they bring her one little box of food this big that's supposed to last her, what, 2 days?
And she has no teeth in her own thing.
Yeah.
She
My opinion on this is, when the camera stopped rolling, she goes back in the wardrobe and cleans up, puts her clothes on and goes home. I don't trust these people. This is, Yael Eckstein, her daddy started this. He was, an Orthodox rabbi. And I used to think, people think, I never did, but people think that it's an outreach with the gospel, because you see these, I almost say religious figures, but that's about what they are. Evangelical leaders. You know, you've got Huckabee talking for this thing, he's a Southern Baptist preacher. And, so they think that because of that, there's an outreach. What they don't know is to work with them. He's an Orthodox rabbi. The last thing he wants are people coming in proselyting the Jewish people. So you sign an agreement, there'll be no proselyting. So there's no outreach there. So I used to think it was, at best, humanitarian. But then I saw that, this was several years ago, when Rabbi Eckstein was still alive. And the previous year, he raised $17 million. He gave $4 million of that. That's a fourth. $4 million of that $17 million that largely came from Christians, thinking that this provided an outreach with the gospel. He gave $4 million of that to the Anti-Missionary Agency, which is an official office in Orthodox and Hasidic Judaism to stop guys like me from proselyting Jewish people. So far from contributing to an outreach, you were contributing to stopping, preventing the gospel from reaching the Jewish people. He never does advertise that. You have to really do a deep dive, but it's there. And I'm sure she learned from Daddy, so I'm sure none of that has changed. So I don't have any confidence in that.
they keep on coming on begging for money, and I keep on having this voice telling me no.
Yeah,
You'll not do that.
that's a good voice to listen to.
I'm glad that you told me that. Thank you.
I used to try to be nice about it, then I realized why. I'm just give them the truth. And it's a lot. In our independent Baptist churches, I'm finding people get sucked into this because they think that there's a gospel outreach there, and there's nothing of the kind at all.
Thank you.
What else?
So
Yes.
why aren't the Jewish people just going home to Israel? Why don't they just go, especially like what happened in New York? Why don't they just get up and go home?
Yeah, well, that's a good thought. And there is the law in Israel, it's called Aliyah. It's the right of return, where every Jewish person has the right to move to Israel and make it their home. And the only way you can become a citizen of Israel is if you're Jewish. You have to prove it. You can't just say, yeah, I'm Jewish. You've got to have something that supports that. A letter from the rabbi, attesting to it, a document that when a girl gets a bas mitzvah or a guy gets a bar mitzvah when they're 12 or 13, depending on boy or girl, these kinds of things. There'd even be a document when the memorial is the ritual bris, the ritual circumcision on the boy. So you'd have all of this, these kinds of things that would attest to you being Jewish, and then you can become a citizen. Jewish people from other countries have moved there. Remember several years ago when the president of France, I don't know if it was Macron or if it was the guy before him, he got up and publicly declared that all Jewish people needed to get out of France. He didn't want them in the country. Netanyahu went to the airwaves and declared it was time for all Jewish people, all European Jewish people, to come home. And the government, the Knesset, provided $58 million to make this happen. So if you were a Jewish person and wanted to go home to Israel, make it your home, they would provide you one-way tickets because you're coming there to live. So they provide your transportation costs. They would provide you housing for 6 months, subsidize you for 6 months, give you vocational training if you needed that so you can be self-sustaining, and Hebrew lessons. Because Hebrew is the official language, and you will learn Hebrew. This is an idea that you gain some traction, you know, in this country. And so anyhow, so they put their money where their mouth is on this one. So Jewish people have from other countries, and there has been an influx because now for the first time in the modern state of Israel's history, the population of Jewish people in Israel is greater than in America. It's close. Last time I looked, we had like 7.1 million here. Israel had like 7.3 million. So it has both lives. But as far as Jewish people making aliyah from the United States, there's not been enough suffering in this country yet. In Europe, there's been a lot of persecution, a lot of suffering, especially when the Iron Curtain came down. A lot of Jewish people, Russian Jews flooded into Israel at that point. It's still too much of a pioneering life in Israel. It's a little tougher. I mean, it's modern, but there's still that pioneering thing going on. We're a little spoiled here in this country. Yeah. Pretty gracious. And it's tough to leave this lifestyle for that lifestyle. So too many deep roots here, and it hasn't become prohibitive. Because you can get out of New York City, and there's plenty of places you can do. And not necessarily even be noticed as being Jewish. That's why we have so many Jewish people in Texas that nobody knows are here because, they're hiding under a more Gentile lifestyle to avoid that persecution. So as long as they can still move and say they're in the States, they have largely done that.
Do very many of the Jews here in the United States speak Hebrew, or are they?
Not as much as you would think. I used to, the rabbi at one of the synagogues in Fort Worth, it's on Granbury, north of I-20. The one that's right on I-20. It's actually called Ahavah Shalom congregation. By the new library that's there and all that. So anyhow, he and I became really good friends. He's retired and moved to Florida, and so that was that relationship with him. But Yeah, they came and got him. And so he would come to my Bible study. I would go to his Torah study. He would bring several of his people with him. And so he said, you know, I believe in reciprocity, so I've come several times here. I think you should come to my synagogue. And I said, that's great. I said, let's do it in 2 stages. We'll come on Thursday night when we did our Bible study, just so you can teach them all the ins and outs of the synagogue. He called it the geography of the synagogue. He liked that idea. On what the ark, the cabinet there with the scrolls, brought the scrolls out, and people look at, open them up on, not on the pulpit, it's called a bema, and roll them out and let them see them, and all of this. And then we would go the following month on Friday night to the synagogue for service. And I said, now here's the problem. None of my people speak Hebrew. And he said, that's okay, most of my people don't either. So, and when I grew up in the 50s and 60s, the common language was Yiddish. Hebrew was not so much in vogue. It had been revived, but it was still not much of a thing. So most European Jewish people spoke Yiddish, and it has, I call it a mongrel language, but it has Hebrew, Russian, Polish, and a lot of German. And my mother spoke fluent Yiddish so much she could carry a conversation on with someone who spoke German. One guy, she's in the midst of this, one guy said, how do you know German? She said, I don't know German. How are you talking to me? I'm speaking Yiddish. And that was the end of the conversation. He couldn't handle that. But she had no problem because there's so much German. And so anyhow, Mom didn't teach us kids because she wanted to be able to speak freely in front of us without having to leave the room. And remember the old days when the phones were hardwired in, and you had one in your bedroom and one on the wall in the kitchen, right? And so she'd be in her bedroom, and we knew that, well, you'd say that her parents, our grandparents had called, and we could hear them talking through the door. So we'd go in the kitchen, pick up the phone, and when they heard the click, without missing a syllable, they went from English to Yiddish. Boom. And just kept going. So Yiddish was the common language, Hebrew wasn't. So I didn't grow up with that. And most Jewish people haven't. In Israel, it's become common. And most people are speaking Hebrew, not Yiddish, in Israel. There are those coming from Europe, but still, Yiddish is kind of died off, and Hebrew took its place, and now Yiddish is making a comeback. And the difference between the two, there's no slang and no profanity in Hebrew. Yiddish is loaded with it. So, if you hear someone, and it sounds like Hebrew, but you can tell that some of the language is not, they're speaking Yiddish. A good example is Michelle, I said to me one day, she said, somebody must have gotten a track and looked us up, and they got our phone number somehow. And they left a voicemail, but I don't know what they're saying. I said, well, play it for me. So she did, and I started chuckling. I said, I don't know Yiddish, but I know the words you're not supposed to know. Those seem to come across. And I said, she said, what? I said, well, I know exactly what he's saying. She said, what? I said, well, basically, he's telling me that I should eat something, I should kiss something, I should go someplace. You fill in the blanks. Then he went, goodbye. He didn't do it with anger. He thought he was being cute, but anyhow. So that was Yiddish she was talking, because Hebrew doesn't have it. What else?
So how is the state of the Gaza thing going right now?
think this week they finally returned the remains of another hostage. Hamas is just, they agreed to it, but they're just lagging.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the skin they still have in the game. And they're using it, as a bargaining chip. And Netanyahu is fed up, and Trump is fed up, and Trump has made it known to both sides and let Hamas know, you don't keep this agreement, do everything you said, and do it in a timely way. I'm going to unleash Netanyahu and no holds barred. So they are now under that threat. Iran doesn't have the funding anymore to be able to support them. So that income stream is drying up. I don't believe we're sending foreign aid to the Palestinians since Trump got back into office because it all goes to Hamas. It never gets to the people. It never has, even with Arafat. When he died, now, what people don't realize is when a foreign aid package is passed every year by Congress, the first check and the largest check is to Israel. The second check and the second largest check is to Palestinians. Now, even under Arafat, that never got past Arafat's bank. When he died, and Abbas took his place, he and others formed a delegation and went to Paris to meet with Arafat's wife, who never lived in the Middle East. And they told her, they met with her and they said, we need the funds, the money. All of that foreign aid money that the U.S. and other countries had sent to the Palestinians, that was in her bank accounts now. And they said, we need the money. And she looked at it and said, I can't do it. Still has it. So Trump stopped that. And Hamas was getting it when, after they ran Abbas out of Gaza and took over, and this helped them to do all that they were doing as well. And it wasn't getting to the people. So that income stream is drying up. And that's why you see and had seen the last part of the active fighting, it was all on Gaza City and no retaliation because they didn't have it. And so we'll see where it goes, but they pretty well down backed up against the wall. Yes.
When you go on the dates that you were talking about, what's the temperature there?
It's very pleasant. It's kind of if you follow the jet stream and the temperatures in this country, it's, I was going to say about like it is here, but here it can jump into triple digits real fast. But it's not that hot until we're at the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
At the Dead Sea, 1,300 feet below sea level, so that gets really hot. But we're only there one day. And, up in the Golan Heights, it can be chilly with the winds blowing, so I tell people bring up a light jacket, something and dress in layers. So if it gets cold like that in the early part of the day, and then it warms up later, you can shed layers and leave that in the box. Jerusalem is very pleasant that time of the year, just shirt sleeve weather. At night it can cool off, you're 3,200 feet above sea level, but it can cool off a little bit, but you're not really going anywhere in the evenings. You can go out for a walk or whatever, but you don't have to be out. You don't want to. So light jacket or light The dress is very casual. I had one preacher friend of mine, and he came with me years ago, and, we got to Israel the first day, got into our hotel, and dinner was like at 7, and it's huge buffet. And I looked across the room, and there he was, dressed like that, suit and tie, getting this food. And I walked up to him and I said, "I don't believe we met. I'm Dr. Reichman, and you might be." And he just hit me. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I brought it. I thought I might as well wear it." I said, "Yeah, but why did you even bring it? You don't need a suit and tie. Ladies don't need, I used to say church clothes. That would work in this auditorium, but in a lot of churches, church clothes means they can't, what would they wear? They're dressed in blue jeans anyway. I mean, the women and the men are in shorts sometimes. So church clothes kind of mean something different depending on where you're at. But you don't have to dress up. Slacks, jeans are fine. The only stipulation are when we go to what we call holy sites. Now that's either the Jewish people deeming them holy sites, or it could be the Roman Church deeming them holy sites. Because they control a lot of it, they own a lot of it. So anyway, in those situations, women have to be completely covered. If you're wearing a skirt, it can't be, it would have to be a longer one. No sleeveless, and watch the necklines. We were going one year into Capital, and it's owned by the Jesuit priests. And this is where Peter's mother-in-law's house was, and the scriptures tell us that Jesus sat down, they brought him the scrolls, and then when they were done at the synagogue, they walked across to Peter's house and dealt with his mother-in-law who was sick. So all that's right there. And this became like headquarters for his ministry in Galilee. So anyhow, we're going in, and there was a 15-year-old teenage girl and her aunt brought it. And let's just say God was really good to this little girl. But she had a neckline that was showing a lot of features. They were mother in. And so one of the guys, young fellows on the tour, had a hoodie that zipped up. And he took it off, gave it to her, she put it on, zipped it up, then it other, and she had to keep that on all the time she was in. So they will control it. One time going up onto the Temple Mount, the last time, and I never experienced this, because the ladies will all generally wear pants. Shorts are okay, if it's not a holy site. But Temple Mount certainly is a holy site, and they were wearing pants, and the Muslims that control the surface of the Temple Mount stopped our ladies and made them put on what looked like skirts, but they just had a drawstring at the top. It was like putting on a sack, but anyhow, and they had to wear those while they were on there, and it's a modesty issue. So anyhow, we never had that issue happen before. Pants were always fine. They decided to go to this point. So we have those little things. There are places at the, if it's a holy site for Jewish people, men need to wear a yarmulke, a head covering, and some of those places will have them there. And you take one, put it, like when we go to the Western Wall, and you put it on and throw it down there, and then you'll put it back in the box.
You need a variety of clothing in your suitcase, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, so it's, I mean, me, I just bring my
people
Long
need a
skirt.
skirt on all of those things, so they need a skirt and top like I have on.
Yeah.
Where you get itinerary before you go, so you know when you're gonna be out.
Yeah, well, what we do is, when we pull up to the hotel at the end of the day of touring, and before we put you out of the bus, our guide will announce, tomorrow we have holy six. So then you know what to do. So, but you don't have to dress up, you just have to cover up. How's that? You know,
We ask that of people in church, so, you know.
Yeah.
Same thing, you don't have to dress up, just make sure you cover.
yeah. Modesty is the issue. What else?
So what type of food? Now I'm looking for chicken fried steak and, mashed potatoes and
Yeah.
stuff like that over there.
Some chicken fried steak.
I haven't been, so.
McDonald's is everywhere, though, and it's gotta be kosher. So no McRib, whatever that thing is. They can't tell you, 'cause they don't know. No cheeseburgers. Because you can't mix meat and dairy. Pizza, but no meat on it, so it's vegetables. Because there's cheese on it. So you can't mix meat and dairy. So there's all kinds of different things. There's schnitzel, which is a pounded out chicken breast. But way too thin almost, but it's pretty good, and then it's breaded and deep fried. But yeah, they have mashed potatoes and they have different things that they have. Roasted potatoes.
You'll eat good if you go.
Yeah, in the restaurant, in the hotel dining room, the buffets are huge, and they always have chicken, meat, fish. This is dinner time, and then all kinds of vegetables as a side, usually some kind of potato. And then they have a whole huge table, buffet table that is nothing but fruits and vegetables. And you can make any, and then make all kinds of salads because they grow so much produce. They export 90% of what they produce, and they live on, and 10% is plenty for the country. So everything's homegrown. They raise everything except coconut. Coconut palms require a tropical climate near a desert climate. Everything else they have. It'll blow your mind when you see how bananas grow. We always had this picture of this tall palm tree and a cluster of bananas. That's not how they grow. And it looks like they grow on a grass stalk that's maybe 5 feet tall. Yes, but we'll go by those and you'll see that. But they have all the produce that you can imagine.
And we were there on the Gallup, staying in Caboose. And there was a banana grove, and they had the sacks open.
Yeah,
So
our
you couldn't
guys,
even tell what they were until you asked.
our guy says that when we pass it, they got these bags, plastic bags on them. She said, by the way, Israel is the #1 producer of plastic bags. They grow right here. And they're different color bags depending on the stage that the bananas are in their growth. And they'll cover them like that with these bags, because of insects. It deals with that, but it also deals with reproduction. So, there's all kinds of science involved with this. Very interesting, but yes, everything is homegrown and fresh that way. The same way with dairy product, their cows, they milk them 5 times a day. That to me seems excessive. I mean, when do you take a break? So because of that, they have all this great dairy and great dairy products and really good ice cream. So anyhow, they export 90%. So they have all this wonderful stuff. And so there's so much there to choose from that you can go on. Lunches will stop someplace locally, wherever we are. And see, the morning and evening meal are part of the hotel package. But we're nowhere near the hotel at lunchtime, so we'll stop somewhere. A lot of times it's like a cafeteria style, sometimes it's a fast food type deal. Falafel is really big there, and it's like, the best I can explain it, it's like a chickpea hush puppy. Yeah, they're really good in Israel. I don't eat them in this country.
I like them. Shit.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't eat it. I tried it in this country, not happening anymore. But in Israel, something about it, maybe the oil they use or whatever, but they're really good in Israel. And we'll go to a place where they'll be putting in a pita pocket like deal, and then put those in there, and then put whatever vegetables you want in there. Sometimes you can have put French fries and whatever sauces you want. Shawarma, which is like a gyro, you know, the shaved meat on the spit, like this. But there it's usually lamb and chicken, but it's, here it's large, but it's pork, so you wouldn't have that good. So they have a lot of really good stuff. And I'm not adventurous either. And I make it up. I have one preacher, he's just now retired, and I had written, they wanted us, everybody to write a thing to present to him, they were putting it in the book. And I said, how they become such great, he and his wife become such great friends of ours over the years. And I took them to Israel with me, and Sue Ann came to me and said, you know, Nick, he's such a freaking eater. He eats my cooking, but he doesn't eat much else. So I'm worried about him eating while we're in Israel. I said, no, we're finding something. And he wasn't eating much, and then I saw him finally, it was like, we only had about 2 days left in the tour, and I'd seen this in Jerusalem every night we'd been there, and he found this bowl what he thought was ice cream, and he was just laughing at it. And I said, found something you like? He said, yeah, fine. And I said, cool. I said, you do know that's not ice cream. And he stopped. And he, what? I said, yeah, this is a kosher hotel, kosher kitchen, kosher dining room, and they're serving meat. That he can't mix meat and dairy. And his countenance just fell even more. I said, it's soy. And he put it down and walked away. She came to me and said, Brother Al, why did you do that? I said, I just couldn't help myself. I couldn't stand it anymore.
So if you're not, or if you run out of something, what do they have, like pharmacy, shopping areas? Like,
Oh, yeah, shopping. Shopping's everywhere. Yeah, it's very modern. And so, like when we're in the Galilee, we're there 3 nights. Yeah, there's all kinds of shopping around. And it's always a gift shop in the hotel that you run on toothpaste or something like that. You can get those kinds of things. Or there's stores. Right across the parking lot there are convenience stores. And they have a little bit of everything. I can get Essie ice cream and potato chips, that's what I always go for. And so they don't have Dr. Pepper Zero, but they have sometimes go on Coke, Diet Coke, so get some of that and take it to the room. But yeah, Jerusalem, same way. There are shops around the hotels. If you need something, and then we always do shopping every day. Give you time to shop. There's gift shops everywhere. You should be able to find what you need if you have something. But you always want to make sure you bring all the minutes.
What's your favorite place to go? You've been there many times.
And I can't put my finger on why, but I love that Shan. That Shan is in the Gilboa Mountains. And it's the city where Saul and his son's headless bodies were nailed to the walls of the city by the Philistines. It's just the grandeur of the place. You have Main Street that shone, lined with these Roman columns. It was destroyed by an earthquake. They know that because everything fell in the same direction. And so when they found this, they put the columns back up. By the way, they found that shone, they were going to build a grocery store there. So they're excavating to build a grocery store and dug up a piece of ancient pottery. When that happens, by law, you have to call the government. They determine whether it did, and they decided it did, and this is what they didn't get the grocery store yet. They got this, and it's supposed to rival, some people say when it's fully excavated, it will rival Ephesus in its beauty and grandeur. I think it already beats Ephesus. And you have the shops lining Main Street, mosaic tile floors that are 4,000 years old, and we can walk on them. My guide said, 4,000 years old, you think you're gonna hurt them? You know, you can walk on them. They have the Roman baths over here, and their technology. As primitive as they were, hot, cold, and tepid baths over here. They had the gymnasium over there. They have over here a Roman theater, an amphitheater that seated like 5,000 people. And they brought most of it back to its original. On the platform, we always put somebody on the platform and let them sing without no amplification, no microphone. And it fills that amphitheater. One small voice. I mean, the technology is just astounding. And the beauty of it, the grandeur of it. So every year we go, that's the one place where I keep seeing more and more. It's a constantly continuing to dig and finding new things. And this is just a business thing. They haven't even begun to look for the residential. That'll be a whole nother. That won't happen in my lifetime. But anyway, it seems to be my favorite spot for that reason.
What's the name of the town? Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to know, when you stop at these places for lunch, how do you pay? I mean, I don't know if you have to get.
Yeah, because there's a mark on your hand.
They love the Yankee dollar, so that's not a problem. Taking cash. Some of them don't want to, many of them don't want to take a credit card or your debit card because they have to give up that 2 or 3%. And it's such a small purchase. Some of them don't mind it. So, but you don't need, I've had people bring as much as $2,000 in cash. Don't do that. There are ATMs, and you can, I always bring maybe $200 and nothing big, mostly 10s and 5s and singles. And then when I get low, I go to an ATM. Now then you're going to get a straight shekels, and then you spend that. Yeah, I don't bring a lot of cash. Bring some, but we don't need it. It's too big a risk to bring a lot of cash. So anyway, you just cash or credit card, and they take our leave.
So what's the exchange rate?
Well, I don't know, it changes so much. You used to, for $100, I used to get 4 100 shekel notes of 50 and a 20. The last time I was there, I got 3 100 shekel notes and 50. So it fluctuates. It fluctuates around 4%, give or take. Yes.
I was just wondering, is it safe to drink the water, or do they drink bottled water?
We encourage bottled water. The water's not bad, but your system, everywhere I go in this country, place, the municipality treats the water differently. And, water naturally has minerals in it that other, I was in two towns in upstate New York, and they were making fun of me on it. And the one preacher, the one couple I was staying with was really offended that I went to the store and got bottled water. So then the preacher came to get me, take me to the next town for Saturday night, and he said, they already told me about you and your water, but, look, our water's great, it's better than their water. I said, you're proving my point. What makes your water better than their water? And that difference will tear me up, because I'm in 5 towns this week, and everybody says their water's better, that means it's different. So, just based on that, the bus driver will have the half-liter bottles of water in a cooler in the bus, and a little wicker basket on the dashboard. We do $1 in there, take a bottle of water, and I always insist, take the bottle of water every time you get off the bus. It is a desert. It doesn't look like a desert. If you don't drink water, about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you're gonna be angry, agitated, hard for me to deal with. I had one guy just land all over me on it and had to apologize the next day. I said, you weren't drinking water. And they say, yeah, well, I've just got a headache, you're dehydrated. And I just take a bottle and I just sip it all the time. I just sip it. Yeah, but you always have to have water. We gotta stop. Right, so let's pray. Father God, we love you. Thank you for the time together this morning. And I pray that the questions wouldn't just tickle our intellect,